Welcome back. We are here with 1441, New Decade. In the last one, we had Genevieve be ousting Cassian as the leader of the land. She is now in control of her stepson, and then she has a son and another child on the way. And we are going to see a little bit more with her today, but not as much as we did in the last part. We are going to be spending more time with our main household, obviously. In this year, Thomas is rolling. I'm scared. Also, Cassian the second is rolling, and I am still unsure exactly what I plan to do if he dies. But we'll get there when we get there. We're also going to remarry Malcolm Landgrab. Let me know if you have already figured out who I'm going to remarry him to. And then, yeah. Oh, and we have Genevieve's first child becoming a toddler there too. So yes, let's get some of these rolls done. So will Genevieve's son survive? No 4, 8, or 12. Yes, he will. Will Cassian the second survive? No 9 or 19. He will. Frost and Honora. Oh, Honora. Okay, Frost and Honora becoming adults. They need to get a 9 or higher. Nope. No. Okay. Well, everything's fine. Goodbye, Honora. And then Thomas. Okay. Thomas. A 9 or higher. Oh my gosh. Yes. Okay. Thomas survived. And then the other Thomas is dying this year anyway. Oh my gosh. I'm so glad Thomas survived. And then our one vampire. Ooh, she rolled a 9. So now she can't roll a 3. Oh gosh. Okay. So she's okay. She's fine. She got accused, but she got out of it. Her husband is dead now, too. I do want to remarry her, but I just don't know to who exactly. I don't know. She lives forever, so we have time to figure it out. Anyway, let's, I think that's it. I did come over here and update. Oh, I didn't update this. Well, that's funny. Alive and died. Okay. I updated this with 1440. We have, turns out the color gray is now available. The Duttons have officially died off, so the color gray is available to us. And honestly, purple is very close to being available to us. Unless anybody gets remarried, the color purple is being taken from the Bennett family. So there's that. I also updated the family tree to cross off some people in it. As you know, what I do is I just cross off people where the line kind of ended there, so they didn't get married or anything. So some of these are still unsure, though. Like, some of these kids could still get married. So we'll see where that goes. And yeah, I think that's it. So let's hop into the game. All right, so we are here. Everyone is doing their thing. We have Adelaide and Thomas still being as in love as ever. And I'm just trying. I try for like a day or two to use their needs, and I gave up. But anyway, so these two just doing their thing, taking care of the garden, doing both the nectar making. We have Thomas the younger working on his writing, on his books. He's actually doing really well in the aspiration. He's on like the second to last level of the aspiration, so that's really great. And these two are just doing their thing. So they're going to be doing this while he is at school. And we are also going to talk a little bit more about our future patriarch this part. I know we've been focusing a lot on Genevieve lately, and she was older, so we were working out her story first. But since Thomas is our heir, he is going to have a story of his own, and it's going to start slowly and then build into a dumpster fire as per usual with my stuff. Okay, so yes, they are just going to clean up a bit. We'll get them something to eat for lunch, and then everyone is doing pretty good. Look at that, is so cute that they both came outside to eat it in the, nice weather and everything together. I think that is so cute. I really do have to fix those bushes at some point, but that is not today. So we are going to have Thomas, again, he just came home to do some stuff. He also likes singing, which I think is really funny. So I'm just having him sing to get his fun up, which is just hilarious considering he's so intensely bad at it. And then Honora is still keeping in touch, of course. And that is really great that she is still keeping in touch. Unfortunately, she'll be dying this year, but we really enjoyed her while we had her. And Genevieve is actually inviting Thomas over. And I really waffled on whether I was going to go, but then I was like, you know what? Actually, this is a good place to start. Thomas's story is that he's going to go visit his sister, and they're going to have a little heart-to-heart. So that'll be really great. So we're heading over here where Genevieve is now the queen of the castle, so to speak. And we are going to have the two of them talk. And they're going to talk about each other's problems, like, Genevieve has problems too. And I think that I've decided that Genevieve's children with Cassian will not be able to inherit the lordship. So that is just really hard for her because she's worried that if anything happens to Cassian II, that she is going to lose everything. She's going to be like kicked out of her house, all this other stuff. And so she is lamenting that with Thomas, that she's concerned about the stability of her future with little Cassian being so young. And then also Thomas is going to talk with her about his dreams and aspirations. And he's just going to tell her that, like, he wants to be a writer. He doesn't want to be a nectar maker. He doesn't want to spend all day stomping grapes or whatever, fruit, etc. He doesn't want to do that. He wants to spend all day, writing poetry and all of that stuff. So he is talking with her, even though I know that we're home now, but pretend like I was able to explain the entire conversation while they were still there. But yeah, so he was just telling her that he doesn't really feel like the family business is for him. He'd rather just, live off of the money from his books and from his estate, but he knows that Thomas and Adelaide worked really, really hard to build up this business, especially Adelaide, obviously, but she worked really, really hard to build up this business and make it something that their family can rely on for generations to come. And so he really feels like he can't just abandon it. And so there's all of that. And obviously Genevieve understands what he's saying because Genevieve herself wasn't really interested in the nectar or anything. So that is kind of where we're at, is that he's concerned because he doesn't want that for his future and he doesn't know what to do. And Genevieve was just kind of like, well, why don't you hire someone like how mom had Honora come here and be taking care of everything? Like, why don't you just have someone that comes and does all the businessy stuff? Well, you can just sit back and write your books. So Thomas is kind of, thinking through his conversation with her and all of that. So that's what's going on there. And we are going to, again, set the parents back doing their thing and be really working on filling up this nectar cellar, which is great because it's doing excellently. And we are just going to continue to craft. And, of course, Adelaide and Thomas have no idea that their son is feeling this way. He hasn't really talked to them about it. I think that Thomas, the younger, he's afraid to tell his parents that he doesn't want to. He feels a lot of pressure to keep this legacy going and all of that when he just kind of wants to do his own thing. And he's kind of gloomy, so I think that it makes sense that he'd be a little fatalistic about the whole thing. But anyway, so he's going to have a chat with Adelaide, and he's going to tell his mom, hey, I just want you to know that I'm not sure that this is my dream. And she's like, oh, of course you can keep writing. That's not a problem. And he's like, no, that's not what I mean. I don't want to do it at all. Not I want to still be able to write on the side. I don't want that to be my main thing. And Adelaide is kind of, taken aback because she's obviously built this business and with the intention of giving it to her son. And so she's kind of confused. Genevieve actually just called her at that moment. So maybe Genevieve has backed up Thomas in a way, kind of saying Mom, come on, you can't live through your kids. I'm sure that everybody can come to a conclusion that makes everyone happy. So they're all trying to figure out exactly what to do. Adelaide comes here and is basically, gonna tell Thomas the Elder about her conversation with him, and they're both just kind of talking through what they want for their family, because obviously, like, Adelaide did all this to protect her family and to protect her children's dreams, and so she never wanted it to become like a shackle for them. Anyway, Honora actually came to visit, which is really sweet because she's dying this year, but Thomas is actually going to ask her for some advice because he remembers what Genevieve told him about her, and so he's just saying, like, oh, like, what do you think is most important for hiring someone to, like, help with the family business like you helped with it? And she said that, the number one thing over anything else is someone who wants to learn about it. You don't want someone who just can come in, even if they have the knowledge, that they aren't having the passion, that they're doing their own thing, that they're not interested in actually helping you and your family. Also, Genevieve just had her second baby from Cassian. Unfortunately, it did not survive, so that baby did not live. And we are basically just wrapping up that conversation that Thomas and Honora had, where Honora told him that the most important thing is someone who wants to learn, someone who wants to support you and your family, someone who's on your side. And she really feels that because, she had the biggest crush on Adelaide, and she actually had to leave not only to grow her own business, which is very successful nowadays, but also because she couldn't, really handle the heartbreak of seeing Thomas come back with Adelaide and all of that. So anyway, Thomas is going to write some poetry about it, right? He, writers write about their feelings, right? So he is going to be really digging in on that. And meanwhile, we are going to do the horse championship because it's a Saturday. And Adelaide is taking care of the garden. Unfortunately, I realize now that some of the stuff we probably could still have harvested, but we couldn't because she was uncomfortable, and I didn't realize it was because she was... Anyway, it doesn't matter. So, it is also Thomas's birthday to adulthood, so we are going to invite over a bunch of people. Unfortunately, Emil and whatever the older child's name is. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I forget Serena's... Oh, Thomasina. Thomasina and Emil, they did get sent to the orphanage after their father died. They were allowed in the church for a temporary period of time because they were with Celestina, but after their father died and they would need a permanent place to go, they have moved into the orphanage there with Salvia, actually. So that is what's going on there. I guess they could have come back to live with us, but, I think probably Celestina kind of poisoned their minds a little bit against wanting to be around this family. But Thomas still invited them over to come have some cake for his birthday. And, he still wants to keep in touch with Serena's children. He doesn't want to just leave them at the orphanage and kind of abandon them. So that is something that's important to him, is even if they do live in the orphanage, that he wants to still know that they're part of his family. So, we are going to actually invite over Odalguard. Now, as you remember, Odalguard is a potential wife. I haven't decided yet, but they are good friends now, which is really nice, and they have good sentiments towards each other. I think that they're really close. She is probably his closest friend after his sister, so they are definitely close, and so they are going to chit chat, and he is basically going to tell her, because she had, of course, also been telling him about her dreams and stuff, and so he is going to talk to her, and it's just her and her father, and so he is going to ask her if she's interested at all in, learning the family business here. And that could definitely be something that becomes interesting because of her potential to be a wife here. And so we're going to have Thomas introduce her to Adelaide and basically say, this is my friend, this is Odalguard, and I'm really, I think that she could definitely be a big help around the house and with the business and everything. She's like one of my really good friends, and I think that she, even though she's young, she's totally willing to learn about stuff. Odalguard has seen, it's been just her and her father for some time now, and, the Bennett family is trying to move up in the world. They are slowly but surely, they've had a few knights in their family, but their family is also kind of dying out. Like, they're coming really close to dying out. Ooh, was that a little heart? But yes, so they are coming pretty close to dying out. So he is basically telling her, like, hey, do you want this opportunity? Because that was something that Honora said to him, like, get someone who wants to learn, and he knows that she's hardworking and that she is, you know, looking for something, and then also get someone that can be loyal to you. And since they're such good friends, he feels like she would be a good fit. So they're going to do like a trial period. So basically, she's not going to get to make any nectar yet. She's just going to help Adelaide out in the garden so far. They're just going to do that kind of stuff. So she is going to get settled in with them and kind of be staying over. It is not necessarily a permanent solution, but it could be. Maybe she could get some kind of like stake in the business by you know, becoming the unofficial heir. Like, Thomas would own it, but maybe she would run it. And honestly, I think that Adelaide is also kind of like, well, you know, if she wants to run the business, if they got married, then the business would still stay in her main branch of her family and everything. So that is definitely something that Adelaide was thinking as she was like, oh, this is the girl that is closest to my son. Like, that's not family. So anyway, they are going to she's going to basically be mentoring Odalguard, where she is showing her how to harvest some stuff, how to take care of the garden. So they are going to do that. She already likes gardening. This is going really well. Maybe she isn't interested in, you know, necessarily the whole thing, but she definitely is looking for something, and she's really good friends with Thomas, so I think she should get a shot, right? Maybe she'll grow into it. She's only a teenager, so there is always that opportunity there. So that is what's going on. Odalguard has joined our household, but not in a romantic sense. Of course, there's always the possibility that things could turn romantic, but also El Rosaria ages up next year, and so I'm interested in that. Maybe if she survives, she will be a contender for dear Thomas's heart. We don't know. So that is something that is happening. And we are going to then move on to go back to Genevieve's house. We do have to kill her baby. Also, I totally forgot that like all of the birthdays are in her household this year. It was just so funny. It's basically because she was the only one having kids at a time. But we're going to head over, and as you've probably guessed by now, because of her concerns about her position and her status, and also because in the last one she had been working with Malcolm Landgrab in order to help depose her husband, even though he was kind of unaware that the whole scheme was her plan. He did kind of get the final blow on Cassian. So the two of them have been corresponding a lot, and you know, he is looking for another wife because he wants to have more than one son, and she is looking for someone to stabilize her position, and he is a baron. And so even though maybe she is not as noble as she could be, for like a fourth wife or a fifth, I don't even know how many wives he's had, but for that, not bad. She's not bad. So he also is thinking that maybe if he was able to have a son with her, that he could have two titles under his belt. And, you know, so like when people have more than one title, they can give the titles out to different sons. So like if he has, you know, son A and son B, and he has a baronship and also a lordship, he can give one of his sons the baron title and one of his sons the lord title if he wanted. So he is totally interested in collecting more titles for his family, especially as he's getting older. And so these two have married, and we're going to have like a wedding for them. Just pretend that like the whole town went to the wedding and everything, but we're really just going to go get their picture done at the church. I'm also going to have them marry under the arch, and we'll call that good. So we also have to change her outfits, and she is now a Landgrab. So that's really exciting. It's actually kind of funny though, because I got her pregnant and I checked it, and you saw me check it. She's pregnant with twin girls. So then we have one chance after that to have a boy with him. This is so funny that like Malcolm is just not going to get the sons that he wants. It's just not going to happen. But anyway, we're going to do our best here. So we're just going to change her outfits, and then we'll send her and Malcolm to the church. So here we go. So yeah, I don't know if any of you gotta let me know if any of you guessed that Genevieve and Malcolm were gonna get married. Honestly, it's not something I was thinking of, but in the last part, as I was kind of explaining, when I was doing the voiceover for the last part, I hadn't initially wanted to include Malcolm. Like, that's not something I thought of. I just figured like the king or something would send a knight. But then as I was explaining it, the idea just kind of like came to fruition as I was talking it out. And then I was like, oh, Malcolm's helping her. And then I was like, oh, but if Malcolm's helping her, then Malcolm and her are talking. And if Malcolm and her, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, I just kind of decided that on the fly as I was doing the voiceover for the last one. So that was really funny to me. So let's get them married. And then we will also commit a couple of murders. So there's that. And I think that things are really going well for Genevieve, actually. She's great. But we'll also have to see. I mean, Malcolm, did you have to move? Anyway, so we'll also have to see, because I really do like, I actually kind of like Odalguard and Thomas together, but I just feel like that's not the way to have our family move up in society. But then at the same time, like, I feel like Adelaide and Thomas would be fine with it, but you know who wouldn't be fine with it? Genevieve. Genevieve would not want her brother to marry someone who isn't of the same status. So I think that'll be a really interesting conflict, depending on if Odalguard and Thomas, I'm just kind of letting them do their own thing. They did flirt a couple of times autonomously with each other in this part. They didn't get in a romance bar, but they did flirt with each other. So I'm just kind of seeing where that goes. Again, El Rosaria is not out of the running. She is definitely at the forefront of my mind, because I feel like she's exactly the type of person that would help move the entire family along upwards. So I feel like El Rosaria is definitely someone Genevieve would want Thomas to marry. But we'll have to see how it goes. I have not made any commitments yet. We could even have some kind of love triangle going on and cause drama for that. I am so into the drama, as you know, and I want to make their lives really difficult, as you know. So I don't mind making Thomas suffer a little bit in the romance department, especially because I feel like he's just, like, he's gloomy. He's like, I just feel like with his personality, he'll definitely have some problems, like just in asserting his decision making, especially against, say, Genevieve. Like, Genevieve totally backed him up when it came to the parents, but if she's not backing him, I don't know if he's like confident enough to assert himself. Anyway, this, of course, became a masterpiece, which as it should. So Genevieve and Malcolm are now married, and they are pregnant, and I hope that you're excited for the next one, because we're going to see where things go with Thomas and Odalguard. We'll see if El Rosaria is going to become an option. So I am really excited about all of this, and I hope you are too. And I will catch you in the next one.